Welcome to Fairy Tales -1.
Hello, little dreamers, and welcome. Find a comfy, cozy spot and let your imagination get ready to play. Have you ever wondered what a world with only happiness would be like? A place where every single moment was filled with laughter and light? Well, the story I have for you today is about a place just like that and a brave young girl who discovered a secret even more wonderful than endless joy. Are you ready? Then let's begin. The story I have for you today is called Alara and the Whispering Sadness. In a valley tucked between mountains that shimmered like polished jade lay the town of Glimmerfall. In Glimmerfall, no one ever cried. No one ever frowned or felt a single pang of frustration. This was because at the very heart of the town, in a grove of silver-leaf trees, was the Fountain of Mirth. From this fountain, a magical spring bubbled up not with water, but with tiny floating spheres of pure delight. They looked like soap bubbles filled with captured starlight, and they chimed with a sound like 1,000 tiny silver bells. The people of Glimmerfall called them glimmers. Every morning, the townsfolk would visit the fountain and catch a few glimmers in their hands. As a glimmer popped, it would fill them with a bubbly, unshakable happiness that would last the entire day. Laughter was the music of the town, and smiles were the only currency. The keeper of this fountain was a very important job, a duty passed down through generations. And right now, the keeper in training was a young girl named Alara. Alara had hair the color of wildflower honey and eyes as green as the moss that grew by the fountain's edge. She loved her work. She would polish the stones around the fountain until they shone. She would sing to the silver-leaf trees, and she made sure the flow of glimmers was always strong and bright. She loved seeing the joy on everyone's faces. But sometimes, in the quiet moments, after everyone had collected their glimmers for the day, a strange feeling would flutter inside her, as quiet as a moth's wing. It wasn't sadness. She didn't know what sadness was. It was a question. A quiet, gentle wonder if this was all there was. Was the world only made of bright, loud, bubbly colors? One afternoon, as Alara was humming a cheerful tune and clearing fallen leaves from the fountain's path, she saw it. Huddled at the edge of the grove, half hidden behind a mossy boulder, was a creature unlike any she had ever seen. It was small and furry, about the size of a rabbit, but its fur was the color of a stormy sky, a soft, deep gray. It had large, dark, liquid eyes and long, drooping ears. It wasn't doing anything, just sitting perfectly still, watching the glimmers float by. As the sparkling orbs drifted near it, something strange happened. They flickered, their chime faltered, and they popped with a weak little PHHT sound, their light instantly extinguished. The creature didn't even seem to notice. It just sat there, wrapped in an aura of profound quiet. Alara felt a jolt of alarm. The glimmers were the lifeblood of the town. She watched as the little gray creature slowly padded deeper into the grove, its soft paws making no sound on the mossy ground. Everywhere it went, the air seemed to grow still, and the ever-present chorus of laughter from the town seemed to dim just a little. Later that day, the townspeople began to notice. Mayor Gable, a man whose laugh was usually as loud as a thunderclap, found he could only manage a weak chuckle. Mrs. Plum, the baker, who usually decorated her cakes with swirls of pure glee, found her hand unsteady, her designs simple and plain. A feeling of confusion, a flat, bland emptiness settled over Glimmerfall. They didn't know what it was, but they knew they didn't like it. They wanted their big, bright happiness back. The town elders gathered at the fountain. "It's that gray thing," one declared. "It's draining our joy, we must chase it away." They all nodded in agreement. It was a problem, and problems needed to be fixed so everything could go back to being perfect. But Alara felt that strange flutter again, stronger this time. She looked at the small gray creature now curled up at the base of a silver-leaf tree. It didn't look mean or scary. It just looked lonely. While the elders discussed the best way to catch it, Alara slipped away. She walked slowly towards the creature. It lifted its head, its big dark eyes fixing on her. It didn't run. Alara remembered her duties. She was the keeper. She needed to make things right, so she carefully caught one of the biggest, brightest glimmers from the fountain. It pulsed with warmth and joy in her palm. "Here," she whispered, holding it out. "This will make you feel better." She gently nudged the glimmer towards the creature. But as it touched the tip of its gray nose, the glimmer didn't pop with a chime of happiness. It simply vanished like a drop of rain on a hot stone. The creature blinked slowly, then let out a soft sound. It wasn't a happy sound. It was a sigh so deep and long that Alara felt it in her own chest. She realized then that a glimmer wasn't the answer. So she did something no one in Glimmerfall had ever thought to do. She didn't try to fix the creature's feeling. She just sat down on the moss beside it. She didn't speak. She didn't hum a happy tune. She simply sat sharing the quiet. And in that silence, Alara started to notice things she'd never noticed before. In the constant, boisterous joy of Glimmerfall, she had never truly seen the intricate lace-like patterns on a single silver leaf. She had never heard the gentle whisper of the wind as it moved through the branches. She had never felt the cool, damp earth beneath her fingertips. The world wasn't less beautiful without the glimmers. It was just a different kind of beautiful, a quiet, deeper kind. She stayed with the gray creature as the sun began to set, painting the sky in colors she'd never truly appreciated before: soft pinks, deep lavenders, and melancholy blues. Then she saw a single perfect tear form in the creature's eye. It trembled for a moment on its furry cheek before falling onto the moss below. And where the tear landed, something miraculous happened. A tiny flower instantly sprouted from the moss. It wasn't a bright, sunny yellow or a laughing pink like the other flowers in Glimmerfall. It was a breathtaking silver blue, the color of twilight, and its petals were as soft and delicate as velvet. It didn't shout with color, it whispered. Alara finally understood. The creature wasn't draining the joy, it was carrying something else: sadness. And sadness wasn't an enemy. It wasn't a problem to be fixed. It had its own purpose, its own quiet beauty. She gently scooped up the little gray creature who snuggled into her arms and carefully plucked the single silver blue flower. She walked back to the center of town where the people were gathered, looking anxious and confused. "Don't chase it away," Alara called out, her voice clear in the unusually quiet air. All eyes turned to her. She held up the little gray creature. "This is a whispering sadness," she said, inventing a name that felt right. "It isn't here to harm us. It's here to show us something we've been missing." She told them about sitting in the quiet, about the patterns on the leaves and the sound of the wind. Then she held up the silver blue flower. "This grew from a single tear," she explained. "We've been so busy being happy, we've forgotten that there are other feelings and other kinds of beauty." An old man in the crowd looked down at his hands. I miss my wife," he said softly, a thought he hadn't allowed himself to have in years. Her laugh was even brighter than a glimmer. As he spoke, a single tear rolled down his own cheek and fell to the ground. And there another silver blue flower bloomed. A young boy who had lost his favorite wooden bird remembered the fun he'd had with it and felt a tiny, sad ache. A flower bloomed at his feet too. A strange and wonderful thing began to happen. As the people of Glimmerfall allowed themselves to feel these quiet, gentle echoes of loss and longing, the silver blue flowers bloomed all around them. And as they did, the fountain of mirth began to bubble more powerfully than ever before. But the glimmers that now floated into the air were different. They were warmer, richer, and they glowed with a deeper, more golden light. When one popped, the joy it released wasn't a loud, giddy burst anymore. It was a profound, heartfelt happiness. It was the joy of a sunny day after a week of rain. It was the warmth of a hug from a friend you had missed. It was a joy made more precious because it now existed alongside other feelings. They had learned that you cannot truly appreciate the light without knowing the dark. From that day on, the town of Glimmerfall was changed. The little whispering sadness made its home in the grove, a gentle reminder of the importance of quiet moments. The silver blue flowers, which they called tear blooms, became the town's most treasured flower. And Alara became the wisest keeper the fountain had ever known. She taught everyone that a heart has room for all feelings, like a garden has room for all kinds of flowers. And the joy in Glimmerfall, once boundless and bubbly, was now deep, true, and more beautiful than they could have ever imagined. And with that, our journey with Alara and the people of Glimmerfall comes to a quiet close. They learned that every feeling has its own magic, and that a little bit of sadness can make our happiness shine all the brighter. If this story sparked a little bit of wonder in your own heart, a like would be a wonderful way to show it. And if you'd like to make sure you're here for our next adventure together, subscribing to the channel means you'll never miss another tale. Until next time, keep your hearts open and your imagination shining bright. Sleep well, little dreamers.
See you again, and do like, share, and subscribe the channel Fairy Tales.